How did 1960s anti-war groups differ in their protests? Imagine a time when young people, veterans, and community leaders all took to the streets with one goal in mind. The 1960s anti-war movement was a powerful wave of social change. But it was not just one big protest. It was made up of many groups, each with their own way of fighting back against the Vietnam War. Some groups focused on campus protests, while others organized large marches in cities. Student groups like Students for a Democratic Society used their campuses as battlegrounds for activism. They held teach-ins, marches, and sit-ins to challenge government policies. Their protests often highlighted the morality of the war and the unfair draft system that drafted mostly young men from poor and minority backgrounds. Civil rights activists also joined in, connecting the fight against racial injustice at home with opposition to the war abroad. Black anti-war groups like the National Black Anti-War, Anti-Draft Union pointed out how the draft hit African Americans hardest. They linked their fight for racial equality with ending the war. Black women played key roles, creating their own organizations and raising awareness about how the war affected women and minorities differently. Large demonstrations in Washington, D.C., became iconic. Thousands gathered on the National Mall and protested at the White House. Some protests turned more confrontational, like the May Day protest of 1971, where activists aimed to shut down the city through civil disobedience. Creative protests also emerged, such as burning draft cards, guerrilla theater, and music festivals. These tactics helped spread their message beyond traditional marches. Different groups also used different messages. Students focused on morality and the draft, while civil rights groups linked the war to domestic issues like poverty and racism. Religious groups opposed the war on ethical grounds, and veterans shared stories of the war's human toll. These varied voices sometimes caused disagreements but also helped the movement reach many different audiences. The protests of the 1960s changed how Americans saw their government. They showed that mass action could influence policy and push leaders to change course. The movement also inspired future activism, proving that young people and communities could stand up and make a difference. Looking back, the movement is remembered as a time of hope, energy, and a desire for change. Even with disagreements, the unity of those fighting for peace left a lasting mark on history.